Hello, Tim Kerin here from Mortgage Choice in Kingsley. Today I just want to talk about what I think is happening in the property market in Perth in particular, but also right across Australia. So if you're living in Perth, you probably know from the last few years that property prices have been declining. We see various stats, but my overall feeling from how I compare current valuations to valuations from a few years ago is that realistically we've probably lost about 20% of property value here in Perth on average across the metro area, or something in that ballpark, over the last 4 to 5 years. Over that same period of time, coming from a point where Perth and Sydney had roughly the same property prices, while Perth has dropped 20 odd percent in that period, Sydney has gone up something like 70% over the same period of time. So there's now a huge gap between the value of properties in Sydney and also Melbourne, which has been seeing similar meteoric growth, and Perth, which has been seeing a decline. So what that means now is if you're in Sydney and Melbourne and you're looking for your next property purchase, because with the way things are at the moment, you're actually still in a position to buy a property or look at the next investment property, Sydney and Melbourne are no longer looking like the attractive place to invest that they were. What's looking attractive now is Perth. And with the mining industry starting to ramp up here as well, I can clearly see a path for over the next few years where Perth becomes a more attractive place to live, a place where there's more work available. If you do choose to live here, it becomes a place where you can pick up a good deal on property because prices have dropped. And I think when I look at what people are talking about from all the conversations I've been having over the last 6 to 12 months with customers, it seems to me that people are really getting ready to buy, and well, they've been getting ready to buy for quite a while, and they're actually starting to take action on that as well. What I think that means is that valuers are going to start to see some more recent consistent sales history when they're challenged to value properties, and they're going to actually be able to give valuations that are more realistic rather than not having enough recent evidence that's any good to go on. And as a result, properties are probably going to stop being undervalued. We're going to start getting more realistic valuations. In fact, again, we're already seeing that. And as people start to buy more property and continue to expand their portfolios and continue to upgrade their owner-occupied property and move out of home for the first time and buy property and that sort of thing, as that sort of activity picks up, we're going to see stabilised valuations, and then I think valuations that gradually start to grow. So I could be wrong, but I believe the property market in Perth has reached the bottom of the cycle a few months ago, or maybe a little bit further back in time than that. And while it's been sitting not really moving for a little while, I think it's about to start picking up. I'm not an economist, and I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not saying I definitely know what's going to happen in the future, but if I had to try and predict it, I would say that if you're going to buy a property at any point in the next couple of decades in Perth, right now seems like a really good time. And it's not just me. I'm seeing a lot of mums and dads, a lot of families, a lot of young people, a lot of people that are in their 40s and 50s and older, choosing now as a time to move ahead with the next phase of their life in terms of property ownership. So that means I think more properties are going to be coming onto the market soon. And so if you've been looking around for the right one, don't worry, there's more coming. So with that in mind, if you're planning to take advantage of this, I would always say that the sooner you talk to someone like me and figure out what your options are, figure out what your limitations are, figure out what you need to do to be able to make the next move, the earlier in the process you do that, the earlier someone like me can prepare you for that and make sure you're facing the right way. And then that leaves you to be able to spend time researching and knowing a good deal when you see it. And that's probably one of the best things you can do to look after yourself. Apart from using me, because one of the best things I can do to look after you is make sure you get the best deal. But that'll happen by default if you use my services. What you can focus on then is finding the best deal on a property for you. I can help you with all of that. I can research properties on RP data, and I'm excited about what's going to happen next, because I think Perth's going to do pretty well in the near future. Thanks for listening.